welcome to another episode of You Can Cook Anything. I'm Bob, and today Dr. JP isn't with us, but we have a special guest. Chef Kaden Shaker is here to join us. She happens to be my oldest child that I've told you guys about in the past. Professional chef who now is a kennel manager for a very high-end German breeder. And she likes to practice her culinary arts for individuals and here at home and in her own home, as well as making sure the diet and nutrition of all the puppies they raise at Hayes House Kennels is appropriate and good. So if you are looking for a very well-trained German Shepherd, get in touch with Hayes House in Massachusetts. I'm sure you can find them online. Kaden, thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
All right, I know you're a little camera shy, but we're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna go off camera, and that way you don't have to see yourself, and I'm going to video you. So today we're going to make churros, and we're going to try to make this as easy for you to make at home as possible. So Chef will take you through the steps as she goes through them. She'll show you how she set everything up, and this way you maybe can take a shot at making it at home. I mean, we all love churros. I mean, it's just a wonderful snack, and then when you're out and you want to buy one, they're $4 or $5 for a cold, crispy, not very satisfying churro. It's really hard to find a good one unless you're in the southwest of our United States country or in Mexico. So for those of you watching who really want churros, this will be a great opportunity for you to learn how. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, Chef. I'm going to get to the camera and you can start taking everybody through what you're doing.
Alright, so the base recipe for churros is actually pâte à choux, which can be adapted to make lots of things, like cream puffs, for example. So the first step, we're actually going to mix in the saucepan that we're going to use to dry out our dough, because I don't like doing dishes, so I'm not going to make the dough in a bowl and then scrape the dough into the cooking utensil. So we're just going to make it right in here. So we have everything set up already, so I don't have to measure stuff out. So first we're going to add the water.
How much water?
I think it's a cup. Yeah, 1 cup of water.
Okay.
Then we're going to add the brown sugar, 2 tablespoons. Ew. And then we're going to add the salt. That's half a teaspoon. But I like to put a little bit more because I feel like it makes it taste a little bit sweeter. Okay,
you're going to have to explain that one to me. So salt makes sugar sweeter?
Yeah, so salt actually is a flavor enhancer. So it's used in all things, sweet or savory. And obviously if you go overboard, your sweet stuff will taste salty, but if you do add that extra pinch, it'll enhance the sweet flavor.
All right, cool.
And then we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of butter. And now we are just going to mix that, obviously not the butter in, but I'm just going to mix it so that the sugar isn't sitting at the bottom in like a huge lump like it is right now. Alright, and now that it's kind of gross looking brown water with a stick of butter in it, we're going to bring it over to the stovetop and then we just let it boil.
Alright.
We also already have a pan set up with the oil in it. That way, when we're ready, we're not sitting here with freshly made dough and cold oil.
So that's a pan of oil. I put a thermometer in it. We're going to get it back up to 350, but that won't take long.
Yeah, now that it's already warmer than room temperature. That's going to take a minute. I can explain everything else I've done so far. So I'm just going to clean up my station because it's a habit of mine. I don't like having my station dirty because then I feel like I don't work as quickly. So I've already set up our flour too. It's a cup. That's set up for later. And then we have eggs and vanilla. So these are going to go in once we heat up the dough. I'm going to mix in with the eggs with the vanilla now so I don't have to worry about it later. It says half a teaspoon. I put way more than that in everything because I feel like it tastes better. More is definitely more when it comes to vanilla extract. No one's ever going to taste something and say it has too much vanilla in it. And then we're just going to mix it with a fork. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to mix it into the dough, but I'm going to puncture the yolks and then just...
Does mixing those together have anything to do with the alcohol denaturing the eggs, or is that just...
No.
No? Okay.
I'm just mixing it. Yeah, it's just going to be easier when I try to mix it into the dough because the dough is such a different consistency than the eggs.
Yep.
If I don't beat them at least a little bit now, then I'll end up with like one part of it having yolk and another part just having white.
Got it. So I think it's really funny for everybody to note that this is an impromptu video, and if you see in the background a gigantic jumping German Shepherd, that's Kaden's service dog. and he's very sweet and wants to come in, but right now he can't, or you most likely wouldn't hear anything that we're saying.
Yeah, because he'd run around like a madman.
But he is really cute, and we'll show you a shot of him later.
I've also already set up the cinnamon sugar so that when the churros come out and they still have oil on them, we can just toss them in the cinnamon sugar, and that's just a quarter of a cup of white sugar, granulated, and cinnamon to taste. I think I probably put at least 3 tablespoons in there. You can do less, but again, I prefer like the really heavy cinnamon flavor, so I do more. It sounds like this is starting to heat up. Yeah. So the butter is pretty much melted. I'm gonna give it a little bit of help. The butter will melt faster if you cut it up into smaller pieces before you toss it in the pan, but I'm lazy, so I didn't do that.
I don't think I'd call it lazy. It doesn't.
It shaves off like a minute.
There you
It's
go.
not really...
Shaves off a minute. So you need to save a minute. Cut your butter. This might be the most complex thing we've shown you guys so far, but you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you're not going to learn how to do the complex stuff, just learning the easy stuff. So today, something a little different.
Alright, this is almost ready. It's like agonizingly close. I hate this part. Alright, so now this is at like a full rolling boil. We're gonna take it off the heat. If you don't have heat-safe counters, you would want to put something down, but this is stainless steel, so it'll be fine. And then we're just gonna put our flour in there. Be careful not to let it splash and burn yourself. This is gonna take some manpower because it's a really thick dough, so soon it'll kind of congeal into like this giant lump. And you want to make sure that you're really getting out those huge lumps because you don't want to bite into a floury churro.
Floury churro nugget. Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
So again, we're just making sure I'm pushing. If you can see, I'm like pushing it up against the bottom of the pot so that I really make sure I'm beating those lumps out without over stirring the dough. So I'm just pushing it up against the bottom and using that pressure to kind of break up those flour bubbles.
Let's get it a little bit closer on that for a second. See how that's starting to look? It's pasty. That's what you're looking for. Pasty.
It's like spackle you can eat.
Yum.
So at this step, this can be used for anything. If I didn't pipe it into hot oil and make churros, if I just piped it onto a cookie sheet with parchment paper and baked it, it would make cream puffs. You can also use it to make eclairs. What else can you make with pâte à choux? I know you can do savory
make puff
stuff.
pastries and then put savory stuff in it. I mean, this one's a sweet one, so I don't think I'd do that, but...
Yeah, if you just omit the sugar, the brown sugar then.
Funnel cake.
Yes!
Funnel cake.
Pâte à choux. Alright, so look, this is a pretty smooth consistency now. I'm not seeing any lumps. It's kind of making this nice oily ball. Now we're going to return it to the heat. And what we're doing here is we're really getting the moisture out of the dough. Put it on medium heat because you don't want it really high. And what you're looking for, and it shouldn't take very long, is for it to come together in a ball. It'd be kind of a film. There should be a little bit of a film, and there should be a film on the bottom of the pan. So see how it's starting to make that? That's how we know it's ready. So see, it really only takes a second, and that's done. Now we bring it back to our workstation once more. That's why this is called twice cooked dough, because we cook it once to get the moisture out, and then we cook it again to actually eat it. So now we're going to add our lovely looking egg and vanilla mixture. And now we move it quick because we don't want the eggs to scramble in our hot pan. These are two really different textures, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to work in. But just keep going and eventually it'll make something that looks better than this.
So in this point in the video, there was a lot of background noise that I decided to cut out. I apologize that at this stage you don't get to enjoy the squishing and mushing sounds of Chef Caden making this beautiful dough. Apologies and enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks. Oh, the dog really wants to come in now. Go open the shade, fam. I don't want the shade shut.
No, it's Boomy wants to come back.
Oh, we have two dogs in the house. Our dog Boomy wants to come downstairs, so we're going to go and get him. And we'll let you guys see Boomy too.
See, it's starting to come together finally. It's more cohesive looking. Just a little bit more elbow grease and then it should be done.
I'm relatively certain by the look on the dog's face, he was not amused that I was staring at him but not letting him in.
Okay, little dog interlude.
And perfect timing because this is just about done. So it's cohesive again, that's what we're looking for. It's really thick dough. It's not supposed to, when I pick it up, it shouldn't be dripping off. It should be doing this. Now we're going to try to just get it into a bowl.
What happens if they make it too thin? Do you add flour?
You can, but it'd be better to just start over. You can add more flour, but that might mess up the way it tastes, so you might end up with savory, salty churros. It's better to either, if drying it out doesn't work, just starting back over. But it shouldn't really happen if you follow the proportions in your recipe. It shouldn't get overly wet.
Okay, and we'll include the recipe in the description below.
So now we're going to set up a piping bag. We're just going to take a tip. So this is like a big star tip. You don't have to use this. You can just pipe it through a bag. But
So look, this is a tip that we had to modify.
These are bent too wide. Make them less wide than this when you do it.
This, I'm told by the chef, you can't fake. Go buy a tip. It's 50 cents to $3 for a tip. You could buy a set of cheap tips for probably $5. It's the one thing that if you want to make churros and have that crunchy outside, unfortunately, there's probably nothing you're going to substitute.
yeah, you can just do it through a Ziploc bag, but it's not going to have that same crispiness because it doesn't have the ridges. So it doesn't have as much of a surface area to get fried. It has less of a surface area, so you're going to end up more with like a chewy tube. So now you can take scissors. I prefer to use a knife. You put your tip in the bag, and then you find where the very tip of it is. You can't cut it too high because then it'll just shoot out as you're trying to pipe. And then you run your knife across it in a circle, more or less. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you remove the plastic. Get the
And
tip
for
out
those
the
of you
way.
with a scissor, push it through, mark where it is.
I already made a mistake.
That was a little big.
It was a little big. It's because I'm using a Ziploc bag.
Yeah, so you can use scissors, just push it up, kind of pinch where it is, and then just snip it with a pair of scissors.
The other way you can do it is just holding it flat on the counter, slicing. I find that to be a little bit more reliable, but I thought I'd show you guys the technical right way to do it. This way, see, it just
Perfect.
perfectly pokes out. So next we're going to take our dough. You want to roll the Ziploc bag down. That way you get the dough not on it. And then if you don't have someone to hold it, you just put it in a Tupperware. That way it holds the bag open for you. You take your lump of dough and you just let it plop in there. Make sure to scrape off the sides and the bottom because again it's a very, very sticky dough, so it's not like brownie batter. It won't just come off the pan. And then once you've got all your scrapings, you can grab and squeeze with the bag and then seal it up, squeezing out as much air as you can, and then twist it so it looks like that. Now you are ready to pipe your pâte à choux dough. As soon as we get them out of the oil, we can put them right into the cinnamon sugar. And then we're going to have a dish ready right next to that with a paper towel on it to put the finished churros so that they're not sitting in their own oil, because that'll make them not quite as crispy and crunchy as we want them. So we're going to get the oil up to 350. If you don't have a thermometer, if you put dough in and it sizzles, it should sizzle and bubble and make a lot of noise and a lot of movement in the oil. That's how you know your oil's ready. If it's not doing that, if it's just plops in there, you get soggy, kind of saturated churros and it's really gross. So you get right up in the pan. You can kind of tell that it's almost up at temperature
Just so
Yeah, you can kind of tell it's almost right up at temperature because you can see sort of little waves. It's the convection currents of the oil heating up and moving around. So you'll see like little waves, and if you look at the surface of the oil, you can actually see it moving. And my guess was right because it's 320 and rapidly climbing, and it's supposed to be at 350. So once it gets up to 350, we're going to pipe a couple of churros. And then keep the heat on because the dough will actually lower the temperature of the oil. Close. Okay.
All right, here's the magic.
So now you just pipe.
Oh, I might have made the... Did I make them too big?
The star tip a little. And then you just pinch with your tongs, roll with your tip, and you have a churro made.
You want me to make it tinier?
No, it's okay. You can also just pinch it off with your fingers, like that.
Which is why you wash your hands when you cook. There are forks there if you need to separate too.
I'm gonna wipe your dough off my tongs.
Look at that. That actually already looks like a churro.
There we go. Those are nice and separate now.
Get a little like that. Of finished looking churros to get the look of the color.
Yep, and how little they're bubbling.
And how little it's bubbling. So welcome back, everybody. The finished product is done. So Chef Caden, why don't you show us what we've got?
So,
Show the plate to the camera so they can see the pretty plate.
So-
Here, I'll actually work the camera here for a second.
we have all the finished and complete products sitting on a paper towel dish.
All right.
Since they've been cooked at the right temperature, it should crackle. And then when you rip it open, the inside should look like cake.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Yeah.
Let me try them. All right, let's see. Churros at home, are they as good as at the park? No,
Are they good?
nowhere near as good as the park.
Let me try.
A million times better. You will never
Wow.
be able to eat another churro anywhere again that they don't make fresh. Come on, resident taste tester.
Is it boomy?
It is not boomy. Let's see what you should think. He taste tests everything that Dr. JP and I make.
Good.
Good, but not enough to finish it.
Stuff.
Yes.
Stuff up there.
So that's what you get for running around with the dog after eating. Well, there you have it. Chef Caden, thank you very much for joining us. Try this at home. It's really not hard. And once you know how to make that dough, if you take all the sugar out of it and the vanilla, you can do anything. You can pipe a cream puff, you bake it in the oven, fill it with chicken salad or tuna salad. Yeah, my mother used to do that for us when we were kids. It's outstanding. Just don't make it sweet. Or make yourself funnel cakes the same way we cook those. It's the same thing. Squeeze it in and you're good to go. Thanks for joining us. You can cook anything, and don't forget, you can cook anything. Bye.